I'm proud to tell you that this video is going to be brought to you by G Fuel, and in celebration of May, G Fuel is launching Anime with a ton of cool products specifically geared towards all of us who love anime, hence the name Anime. Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, My Hero Academia, Mobile Suit Gundam, Attack on Titan, and so many other series are available on the website in the form of energy formulas packed with all the vitamins that you need and just enough caffeine to get you going for your day, which most importantly, this cannot be understated. Unlike a lot of energy products that are out there, there is no crash and there is zero sugar. Two really huge selling points of why I personally support G Fuel. And they've even got energy themed hydration formulas filled with electrolytes. You guys have seen me with G Fuel before, either here on the channel with the affiliate promotions like this one, or you see me on my Twitter account posting some of the G Fuel products I own. I've even bought some for myself this month with the Dragon Ball Z strawberry hydration tub and the Sage Mode energy formula, because we're going into summer season, so I got to put in some long nights to get work for my editors for some of those longer lore videos that are coming. In typical anime fashion, I am going to need you guys to send me your energy by clicking the affiliate link in the description and in the pinned comment, so you can buy whatever anime themed product you want. It doesn't have to be Naruto, it can be whatever anime strikes your fancy, and when you do so, make sure to use my promo code KAGE to get yourself a discount. Yo, what's going on everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another Boruto 2 Blue Vortex discussion. Today, we gotta pull up a chair and we gotta have a conversation about one of the most heartbreaking things that came out of the upcoming manga chapter, which is the sacrifice that Inojin made when he was trying to protect Himawari. And with chapter 10 of Boruto 2 Blue Vortex dropping in a few days, I thought it was best to go ahead and address a elephant in the room regarding Inojin right now, particularly now that I've been given a couple of translations to compare what was said in the chapter and I have more context. As we go into the topic, there are two things to keep in mind. Number one, this is not a review. The review will be out on the 20th or the 21st. My editor's getting the audio tonight as well as the custom artwork for the review. And number two, I know some of you guys are upset that I didn't discuss Inojin in depth in the spoiler video. That's not what the spoiler videos are for. With Inojin seemingly dying in this chapter, this hits home pretty hard for a few different reasons. And one, I don't think enough of you guys are talking about. So it can be really easy to just chalk it up to this is a tried and true and tested shonen cliche where a friend, an ally, a lover, they are hurt in front of someone and they have their hidden power. It comes out on full display. Things go boom and bam and shonen when that happens, which not even the Naruto franchise was above using that trope. But here's what I find truly fascinating about the way that this one in particular was handled. Was it something obvious? Absolutely. A lot of us in the community, we believe that Inojin had death flags being planted either as a fake out death or a critical injury or a flat out death in of itself, or he was going to be used to trigger Himawari's power awakening, because the narrative, it was laying it on so thick. Inojin potentially dying here, this isn't some edgelord writing like people trying to say. It holds a deeper message that I think has been missed by a lot of fans because they're so focused on Inojin, they aren't paying attention to Ino. So that's not to say that Inojin fans, they're in the mud and that their pain is not warranted, but before we address him, we have to look at the Ino effect first, because this Inojin moment, it explains why Ino went from having less than a handful of scenes in Boruto Naruto Next Generations to suddenly being a key support character in Boruto 2 Blue Vortex. And the reason is that it builds on a key thematic point from Boruto Naruto Next Generations, which is the theme of parents and children. Ino, she has lost people before. She lost Asuma, her sensei, in the battle with Hidari. It was a moment that truly forced her to face the darkness of the ninja world that she was now expected to journey through alone, because as Asuma said, when they became Chunin, they were all considered to be adults within their clan, something that gets overlooked by a lot of fans. And in spite of Asuma outranking them in status because he was a Jonin and they were Chunin, Asuma says that we are now peers. As Chunin, they will be able to lead other Chunin and other Ganin on missions where someone might die, someone like Asuma. Ino then lost her father Inoichi, and that moment it had a dual meaning. So on a surface level, narratively, which a lot of people focus on that, it was meant to force her and Shikamaru to step into their roles as being future pillars of the village and carry the batons that their fathers had passed on to them. But thematically, it was Ino experiencing the pain that most of us will experience at some point in our lives, which is the loss of that one parent who served as a security blanket for us, where times got hard, we could go to them. them. When we were scared of the dark, they would cut on the nightlight. They would check for monsters under the bed. They would read to us before we went to sleep. They would help guide us into the adults that we are. That person, if they are truly blessed, they will grow old, they will get gray hair, and they will eventually die. Or tragically, they'll die while they're still young or in their middle years of their life. Ino went through the pain of losing a parent, and it broke her before she found newfound strength and new appreciation for life. However, here with Inojin, this is very different, and it's because the whole thing is different. Yes, her father died to a 10 tails, and now her son has potentially died as well. That's some surface level connection, but it is a connection. However, the worst fear that every parent has is that they fear they will have to bury their children. No parent wants that. That's a different kind of pain that does not go away. And I'll get personal with two examples from my own life. My Uncle Billy and my Aunt Peggy, they lost their child in 2020. In 2022, she passed away, never having gotten out of the mourning process. She lost the will to live. My uncle's heart, it began to give out after his son died. And a year later, he died on the anniversary of his wife's death, which was a few months before the anniversary of their child's death. The grief, it shattered them. My sister and my brother-in-law, there were complications with her pregnancy in the 7th month, and she lost her son, and both she and my brother-in-law got to see the body of their son, and their eyes, they changed. And had she not had her 5-year-old son here, I am very much convinced she would have hurt herself in a way where she would not be here now. Ino is most likely going to feel what happened to her son's chakra signature. She is in this sensory unit. She knows her son is in danger, and she is connected to Shikamaru and Shikadai. That panel where she feels her son's chakra plummet, it is going to be heartbreaking to see, but it's one we need to see. Even if Inojin doesn't die, this is a case where this is as close of a moment to death that you can still capture the same feeling, where you can't go wrong either way narratively. This hits harder when you factor in Sai, who lost his brother when they were training in the Foundation. Grief hits Sai in a way where he's shut down emotionally. You have a chance here to do something special regardless as to which path you take. Now, I want to throw something out here, which is really just address something. So I saw some people saying that, oh, I ain't worried about it because Himawari, she can just heal Ino, and I want to push back on that for a second. I'm not saying that can't happen, but based solely on what we have right now, I can't go that far personally, because Himawari, number one, she's not using a chakra cloak. The only time in the Naruto manga where Naruto was transferring any healing properties was when he was shrouded someone in his chakra avatar, or he was giving them the Kyuubi cloak via his chakra. Unless Himawari has some super genius chakra control that we've never been told about, and we don't find out that she discovered that during her talent during the time skip training, I don't see her transferring a chakra cloak or any healing properties when she herself isn't using a chakra cloak in itself. That's not to say that this is impossible. I'm just on a 1 to 10. I'm a solid 7 in terms of how skeptical I am. I'm not saying it's not gonna happen, just saying that I have my doubts. So that brings me to the last couple of reasons why I am completely fine with the reveal that we get with Inojin. So the reason, it is really quite simple. Sometimes when you start subverting expectations of readers, a lot of times it works out for the better, because it keeps the readers on their toes and it makes them invested enough to pick up the next book, watch the next episode, pick up the next magazine to read the new issue. But there are also times where the smart thing to do is just to give your readers the very thing that they are expecting in order to get a quick dopamine hit before you pull their feet out from underneath them in another way. For example, it's what I will do if you pay attention to the honest truth of Naruto character videos, where I'll start out with a few moderately known facts that a casual fan will know before I start going into more hardcore facts that only the most hardcore Naruto fans will know. Which, side note, those are my personal favorite videos to have editors work on, regardless as to the performance. It's the same thing that is being done here with Inojin, where the narrative, it weighed the pros and cons of subverting expectations, and instead, it threw us a bone by not doing so. Instead, it gave us what we expected. We expected Inojin to die or to get harmed, and so we're right here. But this is why there's a beauty to it. Regardless as to if he lives, regardless as to if he dies, you have now added a layer of tension and conflict to the story for the readers, and it made them realize what Masashi Kishimoto was warning back in 2016, where he specifically said when the interviewer from Weekly Shonen Jump asked him why was the first chapter of Boruto Naruto Next Generations, in particular the flash forward sequence, so dark. Kishimoto's response was that he wanted to tease fans such as myself who came up alongside the Naruto IP. We grew up alongside those characters, to let them know, hey, darker moments, they're coming, but also to give the younger fans of the Naruto IP who are getting into the story via the last few episodes of Shippuden, and they're jumping into Boruto. So like a lot of you guys that might have started like around 12, 13, 14, 15, it was giving you the opportunity to see the softer times that were a byproduct of the peace that Naruto fought so hard to establish before gradually making things darker. Because by Shonen Jump standards, Naruto was dark. Maybe not as dark as, say, Death Note, not as dark as Jujutsu Kaisen or JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, but the manga itself was on a darker scale by Kishimoto's words, as well as one of the former Shonen Jump editors that was assigned to Naruto early on. It also gives you the chance to showcase something that fans, they tend to overlook when it comes to writing, especially when it comes to critiquing a series, which as a former editorial assistant, I'm going to peel back the curtain for you in this regard, and I'm going to shed some light. Yes, you want your characters to be well-rounded, but not every character introduced into a story has to be well-rounded or have a complex arc. In fact, you need characters who do not have a complex arc. They're just flat characters. There is a reason stock characters exist in the story. They either are used to help build up expectations for the narrative to fill some symbolic role or some genre trope role. They are super predictable. They do exactly what you expect for their cliche role in the series. They're stereotypical to a degree, and most importantly, they are reusable, or they are used specifically to provide the pillars for a bridge that the story drives over in order to subvert expectations. These characters, they by default do not need to have a complex arc or any arc at all. That's why in Jujutsu Kaisen you can kill Nobara because of what her death represents. But the joy in writing characters like this is that you get to play up whatever their symbolic purpose was in the story and just lean into it by adding another brick on top of what is already there. You get that in particular when you look at Ino and the symbolism in how she's handled death at each phase of her life, as we walked through earlier, and by potentially have her experience the death of her child or a near death of her child. You do it with the Inojin, whose role so far has been to be someone who is very close to Himawari in a support role, or if you really want to go there, as I've seen people do, as a future romantic role, since reminder, Himawari and Inojin, there's only a 2-year age gap. And we've seen less interactions and sacrifices be used to slap two characters together who barely interact at the end of a series, which I'm not going to go any further on that because we have people that tend to dick police when it comes to social media. And hey, if Himawari ends up with Inojin and say they pull a Tamari and Shikamaru where she was 3 years older than Shikamaru, or Himawari ends up with, I don't know, maybe random fodder ninja 8739 who's 5 to 6 years older than her, like Sasuke's parents had a near 6-year age gap, I don't care either. But say if it does happen and it's Inojin, we're just gonna be coming back to this scene in the future, like how you can click on the video on the left for my new Jujutsu Kaisen chapter review, or you can click here on the right for the Boruto spoiler video if you haven't already.